Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alexander, and I am here with High Winds EDC, representing. I'm outside, so I got mosquitoes. Let's see how long this will last. Anyway, again, I'm Alexander Lucio with High Winds EDC, representing Lubbock, Texas. Just got another review for you. I've had this knife for a little while. Plenty of YouTube videos on it. I respect a lot of the YouTube reviews that I've seen on it, and a lot of those reviews were part of the motivation as to why I got it. So today we will be reviewing the Ramon Chaves 229 Redencion Ultramar. Really, what a beautiful knife. Before I get into that, let's get into a pocket dump. As always, on the wrist I have a Casio G-Shock. I don't even know what model or anything it is. I happen to I bought it off of a friend at work. Got a Refine Co. bolt action stainless steel pen. I have a blue Fisher Space pen insert. I love the blue ink because everybody at work uses black. I just feel like blue stands out a little bit more whenever you're writing paper, especially for the state and stuff, signing invoices and stuff like that. In my wallet is the Valley Leatherworks front pocket bifold. That's pretty good. Back pocket, got a black bandana. Very light carry today. We got back from church. I carried the Benchmade Anthem, but that's inside right now. Kind of a safe queen, not really a safe queen. I try to use a lot of my knives. Oh, and then when we went to the Playhouse, this bounce house here in town, I brought my Spyderco Shaman. This is becoming just a really good knife. I've gotten the chance to sharpen it with the 17-degree angle each side on my Work Sharp Precision Adjust sharpener. I disassembled it the other day so that way I could put a little bit of oil on the washers, and this is the first Spyderco I've ever taken apart, which is not saying a lot. The disassembly on, say, a Spyderco PM2 might be a little bit more difficult because they have that, what do they call it, the barrel spacer. But with this one, I didn't know that it had a, what do they call it, like where the pivot collar is in the shape of a D. And I didn't know that, and I was not lining it up. And I was like, oh no, I seriously messed this knife up. It's not going back into place. I took it apart like 12 times, and I thought I ruined it. But I got it back together. I went to Nick Shabazz, saw his disassembly, and just caught on real quick. I was like, oh, finally. So everything works in play. Everything's in place. Now it's super drop shutty. The problem I was having were the washers. The washers were kind of getting gritty, and I tried to drop in some oil from the sides, and it just wasn't doing it. And I'm taking apart two knives before I took apart this one. So my confidence was like, all right, I can do that. If I need to put oil inside the washers, but now it just rolls open. There's no blade play, good lockup, super drop shutty, just awesome now. Anyways, it's that story. I'll get more into that whenever I do a 30-day review of that knife. So yeah, let's do a review. The Chaves 229 Redencion Ultramar. I'm gonna start these new reviews. I'm gonna go from tip to bottom. I think that's gonna work for this knife. Sorry, got a little bit of dirt or something right there, maybe even rust. That's one thing that I've noticed about myself personally. When it comes to knives, and I'm carrying them in my front right pocket. In the heat of the summer, I found that I rusted through 3 to 4 knives. I had a Boker Kalashnikov, and usually it tends to rust like right here, right where this part would be up against my thigh in my pocket, and I get a little bit of rust spots. Yeah, I even got some pitting right here. I'll try and show it to you. Let's see. Right in this area right here. It's not really picking it up very well. Let's see. Let's try and get the focus right here. Nah, it's not gonna do it, but you can take my word. I wouldn't lie about rusting. And I think that's just gonna be a personal thing about me, because I've done it to my Wee Knives Banter, that Boker Kalashnikov and Oz 8 steel, S35V on the other one, and this one, what was the other one? It may have been my Cold Steel Code 4, I think, and that one's in S35VN as well. So I don't know. I guess if it's not a super stainless steel, then I'm just gonna have that problem for the rest of my life if I'm working out in the heat with the knife, which is fine. I don't care. I love all of my knives. I use them. If I take them to work, I take them to work with the intention of using them, not just showing them off. So anyways, this knife, I have it in the drop point configuration. It's got a compound grind. I love the lines. I think it's built, oh wow, Alex, come on now. How come I didn't notice that I got all my fingerprints all over the blade. It's not gonna do much since this isn't a microfiber cloth or anything, but yeah. I guess the reason why I wanted to review this knife is because I actually disassembled it 20 minutes ago. This is the first time I ever took this knife apart. Obviously, like I said, I'll say his name again, another name drop. I was watching Nick Chaves disassemble this one, listening to his little bit of review, and it inspired me to put my own thoughts out there. But anyways, so whenever I got this knife, it was around the time everybody was getting their stimulus money, and I was doing okay. I had just gotten a good position on campus, not the current position that I'm holding now, but I had just gotten a better promotion at the time, and so I was doing okay. So that stimulus money wasn't really, gonna make or break me in any way. So I had it, and I bought this on Knife Joy. Super excited. I wanted the Tonto variation, but I think I'm really happy with the drop point variation just because of sharpening. I've sharpened this thing twice. It's kind of getting ready for another one. Kind of see right there. There's a little chip right there, right there, close to the drop. I think that one was just, I accidentally was cutting through some cardboard with really like those 3-inch staples. I was cutting through some of that. I didn't know the staples were in it. This thing took the cardboard no problem. It's just hitting into those larger staples. And as soon as I felt it, I was like, ugh, cringe, metal on metal, and you're just like, ugh. Anyways, the blade shape is probably one of my favorite blade shapes. I love this compound grind. The compound grind I've reviewed before on my Benchmade Vector with my brother. Right here you have your flat grind with a hollow grind for the larger cutting portion, and a nice swedge on top. It's for aesthetics, and some very heavy jimping. M390 logo, M390 blade, the Chaves key logo. But no, as far as cutting goes, this thing was super slicey. I was really impressed with it. I received a few pallets of brick when I had first gotten this knife, and me being me, I sliced on the brick, and that's how I got the first set of chips. That's why I had to sharpen it the first time, because I took it along the pallet and just, it was saran wrapped, and I went along with the bricks. So there's no cardboard, it's just brick, saran wrap, and that, what do they call it? The baling bands, the metal bands. So I just took this knife and cut it, and lo and behold, after a little while of cutting like 3 or 4 pallets, making sure all the bricks were intact, it kind of busted up the edge here. I didn't know any better. I didn't care. Otherwise, I'd be carrying a box cutter, but I don't carry a box cutter because I seldom run into actual boxes at work. It's more tying, zip ties, rope, and then at home, some food prep with my pocket knives, but a lot of zip ties and freezer bags. A lot of freezer bags. But carrying this knife is just amazing, and we'll talk about that action here in a little bit, because it's one of my favorite parts about this knife. Okay, and so now we get to the scales. We got solid titanium, and it is not milled internally. There's no milling inside whatsoever, so it is all solid. Whenever I took them apart just a few minutes ago, I realized each scale in and of itself is very light, but you put it all together, it becomes a heavy knife. I don't know the specs exactly on it. Definitely look into that yourself. I'm not gonna really try to be a specs channel. I'll do some comparisons for the people who have some of the knives that I have, but for the most part, this will just be straightforward, how I use it, my love for it, and everything like that. I will tell you that it is all T8s, for the pivot and these screws on the back right here. I don't know what they'd call that. And then a solid titanium back spacer. Super cool. And you can tell I've got some bumps and bruises on this little thing. Got one right here. You can kind of see it. It's not really focusing, which is fine. Pocket clip for sure. There's some markups like right, snail trails, which doesn't bother me one bit. And none by the pivot area. Usually I get some by the pivot area. Ah, there it is. Right in here. And the jimping does extend to the scale. There's got 2 sections right there. I will talk about that. I thought the jimping was going to be very hard, but we do use leather gloves at work for the most part. So anytime I found myself really working with this knife, a lot of hard use, I'd be wearing gloves anyways, sometimes cutting wire. Did cut through some very, very small gauge copper wire with this thing, and just a bunch of other stuff, rope, zip ties, like I said, those pallets, boxes, and that was about it, just for the most part. And the jimping didn't even bother me without the gloves when I was just barehanded. I have a relatively small hand, so a lot of that hangs out, but everything falls in line, and I was able to kind of use this portion as a finger choil, but beware if you have chunkier, larger fingers and hands than me. Okay, and scales. Let's talk about the ever controversial, it's a statement piece for sure, the pocket clip. I live in West Texas. Around here, skulls and crossbones and the whole biker scene, I'm all for it. I love the aesthetics. I'm never gonna say I'm, a biker, skull and crossbones kind of guy, but this pocket clip is not something that, there we go. It's not necessarily out of place. It fits right in here in this portion of Texas. We got a lot of that outlaw spirit, outlaw culture. So this pocket clip, as much as it sticks out, it's not like what is this thug doing? No, people like it, people appreciate it. One time I took it out with some of the guys when I was going out drinking a lot, and I put this in my pocket a few nights, and you know, it's not out of place where I'm from. Now, if you live somewhere else in a city or something that where it's not really, I guess, where it's kind of frowned upon to have a very large knife like this, then yeah, I can see why you wouldn't want this knife. But for me, fits right in, especially at work, especially here in town. Our culture is very, like I said, outlaw oriented. Not that I affiliate myself with any of that stuff, just kind of where I'm from. Ramon himself is based out of Albuquerque. That's like, what, 6.5 hours away from Lubbock, I think. So, you know, we're not far removed from each other as far as the culture and stuff. So, pocket clip does not bother me. I love the pocket clip, and it feels really good in hand. You don't even feel it. It tucks itself right here for me, and then I don't even feel it. No hot spots really, except right in here, inside the liners. It's the only real hot spot I get, like I said, not even on the jimping, and it's not rounded off, right? So you would expect that to be like really sharp, and while it's not rounded off, it is chamfered. You can see a small bevel right here to where it's not just a straight rectangle or box. So that goes to ergos. Like I said, I use this as a finger choil. I found myself just using it like this a lot of the time. A lot of cuts like this. I don't know what these cuts, these hand positions are called. So yeah, the more I look at it, the more I fall in love with it. It hadn't found its way into my pocket until recently, and I really wanted to disassemble it. But I have a lot of love for this knife. It's definitely one that I've always kind of sat on the fence, like, should I sell it on the secondary? Should I go to the Facebook groups and just let it go, get my money back, and say that's enough? Until I hold it again, and I realize that the action is just so smooth. It is wonderful. There's a reverse flick for you. It's a little hard on my middle finger. It definitely reshaped my middle finger for a little while there whenever I was using this every day. But no, I can use the meat of my finger to get it out, but not as snappy as just like with the nail every single time. And like I said, today was my first time ever disassembling it, and that went really smooth. Not a lot of moving parts. So the disassembly went off without a hitch, and I really appreciate that, because I recently took apart my Pena X Series dog leg, and that, I thought I almost effed that one up too. That one came really close to just being a goner. I lost a secondary washer. I didn't know that Pena came with not only the ceramic bearings, or the just the bearings, but it also comes with two very small stainless steel secondary washers. I don't know what you'd call those. Never seen that before, even in a disassembly video. And I lost one. But thankfully, the way I lost it was, as I was taking it apart, I guess it popped off. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that it popped off. But it fell on the countertop and got attached to the magnetic tray that I set all my screws in. It flung itself, rolled into the bottom magnet part. So whenever I was looking for just other parts, I was like, man, what the heck, what's going on? Am I missing a screw? Am I missing a bearing? Am I missing like a detent ball? What is going on? I picked up that tray and I saw that little washer, and then I looked at the other side of the scale, the internal part, and there was that same washer. So I was like, oh my god, that was the missing piece. Anyways, this did not have that. What can I say about this knife that's a negative? Nothing really as far as that goes. Like I said, just a little bit of rust pitting right here, and the where it presses up against my leg, but that's normal. I'm okay with that. This thing is a pocket lint collector. That's what I can say about it. One of the reasons why I had to clean it out is, like, I try to blow air in there. I know that's probably not the best way to go about cleaning and maintaining your knife, but boy, does this thing collect all of my pocket lint. Here in West Texas in the summer, we get a lot of sand. After I work at Tech, I go help another gentleman do some landscaping, and that really gets in the way too, because we blow off porches, and it's just mobile go in the summer, and then in the fall we have a lot of leaves to pick up. So this thing definitely just is a trap for lint, dirt, sand, all that other stuff. But either way, I really love this knife, and I guess I will talk about how there is an internal lock interface to avoid wearing down the titanium, but it also doubles, when I took it apart, as the over travel. So that's really cool. This was my first titanium knife that I ever owned, and I loved it. I am looking to get a skull crusher pommel on it. I just think that thing looks so cool, and since I do drive a lot at work, it'd be cool to have like that glass breaker type function. Let's see, talked about everything. The thumb stud action is really nice. It just comes flying open. Oh, I guess I should do this for all of my, it's so drop shutty. Like for the longest time, that's just what I did. This is how I would fidget with it. Flick it out, and I just do that. Get it past that tint ball. And the tint is very strong, so it's not gonna come out and come open. That's secondary. The tint ball right there, boom, close it. Just so smooth, effortless. And it came out of the box perfectly centered. Try and get it. Camera's facing this side, so centering was damn near perfect. The action out of the box when I first got it was so smooth. The smoothest knife that I had ever operated up until that point. I've operated a couple of other smooth ones, like my what's it called, Anthem. That one was really smooth. The Pena is really smooth. The Weed Knives Banter is really smooth, but it's on bearings as well. But other than that, I think the smoothest knife that I had handled up until then was this Bug Out. Believe it or not. So, I'm starting to get tore up. Let's do some size comparisons and then give it a rest. So, up against the Benchmade Bug Out. Obviously, the Benchmade Bug Out is a lightweight, small user. That's what it's intended for. I have the brass titanium scales on mine. Let's do the Benchmade Osborne. In this case, the Benchmade 940-2001. Okay, my other second titanium knife that I've ever owned. Beautiful. I will be doing a review of this one, but I think I want to hold the knife for a year before I review that one. And then a comparable size comparison knife, the Spyderco Shaman. Very thick knife, very thick boy, thicker than the Shaman. Yeah, thicker than the Shaman by a little. But anyways, y'all have a good one. God bless you.